So, good evening, Seneca. How wonderful it is to be here with you again. This is not the first time that I've been here. Can you guys hear me? Okay, good. This is not the first time that I've been here. Jolene was a gracious host, and I was able to meet several of you a few months ago when I was still in the middle of a primary and was trying to figure out if Kansas was ready to see some change, right? And it was breathtaking to see that we were able to win the primary by a landslide. And that now we're here, and just very much like Senator Bollier is talking about, it just seems like the song and rhyme is the same everywhere. But before we talk about any other issues, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about who I am as a person, as a human, and the values that led me to be here today speaking to you. I know that many of you understand the challenge of having to decide if you're going to pay your bills or if you're going to take care of your medical situations. And that's a reality that I understand all too well. You see, I was born in New York. I was raised in Puerto Rico by my grandparents, and then ended up homeless by the time of 17. I was pregnant and had my son when I was 20. I had my first cancer battle when I was 22, 23. And then I tried to get my life back together. I used to sing at church. And Father Pat put a whole bunch of money together, and they sent me out. They're like, you need to leave Puerto Rico. And I said, okay, so what do you think? And he's like, what do you want to study? So my grandpa died of cancer. I had cancer. I wanted to do cancer research. So I ended up here in Wichita State University. And I got my degree after 8 years of trying. So the joke that I tell everybody is that I have a PhD in my bachelor's degree because it took me 8 years to get it done. But it was the grace and the kindness of people who throughout my whole life has defined who I am as a person. As a young girl, I was always outspoken. I was asking all these weird questions all the time. And that could get pretty exasperating to my wonderful, beautiful grandparents that had an 8th and a 2nd grade. And I wanted all these books. And I was asking all these crazy things, and I was taught that maybe I shouldn't have a voice. And coming to Kansas, after being here, getting my degree, getting married, and surviving domestic violence, it was Kansans who helped me find my voice. It was Kansans that taught me that my story is not a story of shame, that my story is a story that is a life that's been lived by many people that just simply carry those scars with you in your heart and just maybe don't dare to talk about it because we've been told that our story is too shameful, or we believe that our challenges have been of our own doing. And some of things, maybe, but nobody should ever be mistreated or told that they don't have a voice. And I think that that is the spirit of what has me here. For the longest time, Kansans, common sense Kansans, and I'm not talking about Republican or Democrat, Kansans that are common sense have been told that it's this way or we don't want to hear about it. And I want to tell you tonight that that is not so. For some reason, we keep being lied to. We have individuals that say that they love life while they are keeping 150,000 Kansans without insurance by choice. Yes, I mean, it's a reality. And not only did that happen when my opponent was in office with Governor Brownback, but it happened recently because somebody was debating the merit of the life that is unborn, playing gambling against the lives that are sick in this state right now because of COVID. And even though at that time COVID was not an issue, we had a grave opportunity of ensuring that we were able to expand Medicaid so that more than 150,000 Kansans could have health insurance. As a woman that remembers very clearly having my second bout of having to deal with surgeries and trying to figure out how long I could postpone them so that I could feed my kids and not lose my house, which I did, I understand that that is not fair. My best friend can tell you that I have issues still looking at the mail, because I don't know about you if you've ever had a medical situation that you end up in a hospital, but you get your hospital bill and then you get surprised by another bill and then you get another bill, and pretty soon what you have is this conglomerate of, wait a second, I think I got rid of this one, but then you have another one. And the anxiety that that provokes is crippling. As a woman who devoted her life to education, because after I graduated, instead of working in a lab, I started working at Upward Bound, which is a program to help first-generation students. I know the power of education in our community. And the fact that many communities around Kansas, especially our rural communities, are struggling with internet access and are not able to access what is now demanded of them for education for their children. On top of the fact that in some rural communities, you don't have access to specialists and you need to have telemedicine. So not only is your education being jeopardized, but also your health. And even more so, more and more, the combines and the equipment that farmers are using because of GPS technology and other things demands that there is access to broadband. And I would have never thought of that had somebody said, you know, I heard about this farmer that, you know, was having to wait because there's some things that they cannot do right now because of their lack of internet access. We're not talking about infrastructure. Since the president got elected, we have been promised an infrastructure package that is going to come and help us so that when we drive up here to these beautiful communities, we don't drive in two-lane roads. And then we wonder how we're going to restart our economy. And then in the midst of all of this, we got slammed with a pandemic that is both health and economy. Make no mistake, our economy is suffering. And the sad thing is that something as simple as this could help restore our economy and keep other people safe. My life experience is such that I understand what it is to be human. I understand what it is to be a single parent. I know what it is like to advocate for a child with severe persistent mental illness and still wake up every morning the next day with a smile and keep going because the mission is too critical to stop. In Kansas, that's where we're at today. The mission is too critical to stop. Right now, I saw a commercial that many of you might have seen today of my opponent saying that I am defunding the police, which is what the president is saying of other people. When the only person defunding the police is the president that refuses to pass a bill and a stimulus package to support municipalities to keep their processes going. We cannot continue as a forest voting for the axe just because the handle is made of the same wood that we are, when we're not realizing that we're being chopped down systemically, one by one. And this is not a Democrat or Republican issue. My friends, I tell you what, I don't know how many of you wake up in the morning and think, man, I really don't know what I would do if I didn't have my gun in my hand right now. Right? And I am yet to meet a woman who wakes up and says, well, you know, I'm pregnant today. I really don't want this. Let me go and get rid of this situation because it's not what I want. Nobody says those things. However, for some reason, our communities are being blinded into believing and being indoctrinated to the point that you're getting for Senator Bollier 20 and 30 flyers talking about abortion and not talking about what's happening to you right now. How many of you know somebody that's unemployed? How many of you know a farmer that is not able to sell their crops? How many of you know somebody that has died of COVID? Last I checked, this mask is not Republican or Democrat. Last I checked, the virus is not Republican or Democrat. Last I checked, Food is not Republican or Democrat, and neither is your health. Yes, we need to stop rewarding people that are going to divide us. And if you've heard, nothing in my mouth is talking about my opponent, because I don't care. The only thing that I care about is the people that I want to serve. And these are difficult times, make no mistake. But please, let's not continue rewarding people who want to divide us in order for them to achieve success. The fear-mongering, the negative rhetoric, it gets so old. It gets so old. And Kansans, we deserve better. The last thing that I'll say is, if you're looking for a hero to fix things, I'm not it. And I have to say this because a lot of people run for office and they look at you straight into the face and they say, I'm going to fix healthcare tomorrow, or I have this solution. Here's what I want to remind all of you. I am only as strong as all of you are together, working with me, alongside me. I'm going to be, God willing, when elected, one of 435 members of the House of Representatives of the United States, which means that my number one skill will be to work across the aisle and ensure that I build both and relationships with all of you, Democrats, Republicans, Kansans, and above all things, Americans, and hear your concerns, and then work with my brothers and sisters of Republican and Democratic persuasion and understand what the needs are in their community so that we can start moving things forward for you. I am not the Democrat for Kansas. I am the human, the American that loves this country, that loves her people, and wants to serve you and lift up your voice. In order for me to be effective, I need all of you. Barbara needs all of you. Kirk needs all of you to stand together. It's time that Kansas has representation that stands up for and with them. And that is my promise to all of you. So thank you so much. I will stop and I will let you ask any question that you have. Thank you.
Michelle, I don't have any questions, but I just have a message to you from my brother, Jeff Zammerslaw, said to tell you hi, and he knows you're going to win.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. No questions?
You believe in
Are there any indications that we're going to have a heavy Democratic voter turnout?
You know, yes, there is. We are starting to see the numbers of young people registering to vote, and the numbers are crazy. And already in the primary, we saw historic numbers that we have not seen before. So the fact that everything is happening right now the way that it is at the national level, I think has started to create a sense of urgency in people to do something. Because I think that people understand that we can't stay asleep this election. But the primary should show you that there were historic numbers. Yes?
As you cross the state of Kansas, everybody here is wearing a mask. What do you usually run into in most communities?
You know, I think that what we've seen is a lot of people with their mask. But I'll tell you what, I'll give you two different examples. I was at a banquet with a large group in Kansas, and most of those individuals did not have a mask. However, anytime that I have been all across the district, we ask for people to have their mask, and people are very respectful. All of our events have been outside since the pandemic situation happened, and everybody is very amenable. And and I'll tell you what, you know, it is a personal thing to decide to wear or not. But wearing a mask is the biggest act of kindness that you could do for somebody else. And it's not that it cures the virus. It doesn't cure the virus. And I know that there's a lot of confusion with the messaging that you're getting. What it does is, if I were to grab a hose and turn that hose on and put a mask over it, that water, rather than going like this, it's going to go like this. And that's avoiding that your spit gets to somebody else and aerosolizes the virus and somebody else gets sick. So that's all it is. It's just an act of love. But no, everybody that, if I ask somebody, they're like, okay. So, yeah. You have a question? No? All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody.